It's time for another one-off Football Manager rebuild, and today we're heading over to Italy to try and rebuild Roma. That's right, we're giving ourselves 5 seasons as the manager of Roma to try and take them out of their current predicament, which is doing pretty poorly in Serie A, potentially in relegation danger, although their squad has enough quality to get out of it quite comfortably. In our case, though, we're not just trying to keep this team in Serie A, we're going to be trying to take them right to the very top and hopefully to European glory as well. Jose Mourinho's side are a club steeped in history with 3 Serie A title wins between 1942 and 2001, so spanning quite a big period. They've also been runners-up in the Champions League, won the Europa League once in 61, or if you believe what Mourinho's been saying, they actually won it the other year too, but you know, the game was rigged or whatever to not go their way, and the UEFA Conference League they won in 2022. So they're no stranger to success, but it has been quite a while since they have been there at the top of the Serie A table. Now you might see they are called Capitolini here. That is because of some kind of rights issue in Football Manager, and I don't have a name fix on right now, but it is Roma. And we've got some great players to build around, the likes of Lorenzo Pellegrini heading into his prime, Paulo Dybala as well, the elite attacking midfielder, and centre-back linchpins like Gianluca Mancini. And that's not to forget some new signings they've brought in, like Romelu Lukaku on loan from Chelsea, and former European golden boy Renato Sanchez looking to find his feet in the Italian divisions. And how can we forget former Chelsea player Tammy Abraham too, our star striker that we're hoping will deliver us plenty of silverware. But we're only 10-1 favourites to win the league. There's 4 teams considered better than us and a few teams considered around our level like Lazio and Atalanta, so this won't be an easy job. But we'll be hoping in 5 years here we can make the right kind of transfers to turn this team around. Now if you do enjoy this video, I'm going to be a little bit annoying for a second and ask you to do a few things as well as a little new announcement for you guys. Firstly, if you could smash the like button on the video, it helps so much on the YouTube side of things. On top of that, the subscribe button. We are getting so close now to that 25k sub mark, but a huge portion of you watching aren't currently subscribed. I'll put the numbers on screen, but if just a little bit of those guys hit the subscribe button, we would reach that 25k mark that I'm aiming for. Nearly there, don't worry, but if you want to suggest your rebuilds in the comments or let me know your thoughts on this rebuild, that'll be awesome too. All of the rebuilds we do come from suggestions from you guys, including this Roma one, came from your guys' suggestions. And the final thing is a new announcement, something you guys have been asking for quite a while, those that want it. The save files from these rebuilds, they are going to be uploaded season 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, so you can take over at any point you like. That will continue throughout FM24 and onwards, and to get access to them you can find them on my Patreon, which is newly launched, in the description below. You guys supporting me over there will really help me as a content creator in terms of achieving what I want, which is eventually to do this as a big part of my life, and it already is starting to become that. But the more support we get over there, the more I can do this on a regular basis and hopefully deliver you more rebuilds. But please, if you haven't got the money to do so, don't feel like you need to support me over there. It's just a bonus thing for those that want to. But yes, that's everything. We're ready to go. Capitolini, Roma, we're going to rebuild them now. Our staff situation isn't looking great, and that is something that we need to work on, but thankfully the facilities are in a pretty good position. As mentioned, the media have got us predicted in that 5th, 6th kind of spot, and we do have some new signings to help us out. But financially, we haven't got too much money to work with. We've got 24 million in the overall balance, a fair bit in the debts and loans, to be honest. And the transfer budget, we've got 12 million pounds, which isn't a small fee at all, and we might be able to work that. Mind you, we need to put some into the wage budget. In terms of players with potential at the club, Nikola Zalewski seems like the one with the most. The 20-year-old Polish left winger, left back, left mid, left wing back, whatever you want to use him as, looks very talented already with a lot of room to grow. So hopefully we can build around him a little bit. Already an international at 20 years of age. So what I'm going to do now is do some transfers, try and spend this 12 million. Obviously we won't be able to bring in too many players, but it'll be a decent start for us, and then we can really kick on with our transfers in season 2. So let's see what we can do with that 12 million. So transfer business is complete. We've made a sale and actually bought in a few players, which we don't normally do in season 1. Do let me know, by the way, if you miss a Man United rebuild. You might notice we've got a new camera setup, which is hopefully better, but also a new light in the background. And if that's a little bit too fast, too annoying, let me know. If it looks cool, just that's fine as well. Just let me know what you think of it, because I'm still trying to figure out the settings for that. But yes, you will see on screen our only sale of the summer, Rui Patricio, over 100 caps for Portugal, but he'll no longer be a Roma player. He's been been doing quite well for Roma, signed for 10 million, but then we got an offer out of the blue for 6.5 mil from Benfica, and it was one of them where he said he was extremely interested. I assume it's because he's going back to Portugal, but at the same time you think, okay, the guy is 34, we've been offered 6.5 million. It's hard to turn that down. As good as he is, we'll have to reinvest and get a new goalkeeper, and he is going to have to deal with being a Benfica player, having spent so many years at Sporting Club de Portugal, so good luck to him over there. And our new goalkeeper is a Spaniard by the name of Álvaro Fernandez. Now, I can't exactly say the market was bustling with great goalkeeping options, it really wasn't, but Álvaro Fernandez was rated highly by our scouts. Every player we sign in these rebuilds has to be someone that came through the scout reports, not my own knowledge. He's formerly been at Brentford, he's been spending time at Huesca, and yeah, he looks like a decent goalkeeping option. Whether he'll be world class is another question. He's at 24 years of age, so he's got a few years to kind of kick on and get better. Supposedly an international cap for Spain already, which surprises me with his ability level, but you know what? He is here, we've got him. Whether it's going to work out, I don't know, but it was only £4 million, so it's not a huge risk. Can play in goal this year, and if we need to, we can sign someone over him next summer. I've enhanced our Italian contingent at the club by signing a new Italian left-back by the name of Matteo Ruggeri. He was bought in for £5 million and then loaned out to Salernitana. His parent club, though, was Atalanta. We've sent £5 million their way and got a left-back that looks good, but also has a lot of potential and can play left wing-back, which is important when you see the tactic that we're going for this year. And our final signing was another Italian, Alessandro Buongiorno. I might have butchered that pronunciation, but I've got a good feeling I might have done all right there. He is a centre-back who is left-footed and can play as a ball-playing defender. 6'3", good ability and nice potential. He's currently coming in as a depth option at centre-back, but over time will start to pick up more game time, I'm sure. He's an Italian national, which of course helps with registration rules. 23 years of age, bought in for 6 million from Torino, where he's been playing fairly regularly for them, and I'm pretty happy to bring him in. He's not going to be world class for us or anything like that, I wouldn't have thought, but he's a nice player to have in the team. And speaking of our team, this is the formation that we're going for. We are going for hold on if I can click the right buttons, there we go, a 5-back kind of formation, 2 in midfield with 1 attacking midfielder and 2 strikers, 3 ball playing defenders with 2 attacking wing backs, a box to box, a ball winning midfielder. Now if we do put our best 11 on the pitch, it actually looks very well balanced. Álvaro Fernandez comes in goal, Mancini at the back, and let's introduce you to the other players in the best 11. Evan and Dicker, a brilliant left-footed ball-playing centre-back who's only 22 with years to get better. We've got Chris Smalling as well. You might remember him from his Man United days, a model citizen who's 32 at this point, so won't be around for too much longer. Rick Karsdorp at right-back, the player that Mourinho, I believe, tried to get rid of, publicly said he didn't like him or something like that. If you know the exact details, let me know. Spinazzola, who was an absolute hero for Italy in the Euros that they won before he did get injured, so he looks like a good option at left wing back. Of course, we've got Zalewski there as well. Cristante in the middle, who's also another good Italian player in the prime of his career. We've got Dybala, Tammy Abraham and Romelu Lukaku. And there's some decent talent on the bench too. Renato Sanchez, Belotti, Zeki Selic, Kambula, Leandro Paredes, formerly of PSG. We've assembled a nice side here, and I think with the 2 up front formation, we're going to get the best out of Lukaku and Abraham. We had to have a number 10 in our system when we've got a player like Paulo Dybala, and I really do think this tactic suits what we've got in terms of talent. I'm actually not sure if Mourinho does play a 5 at the back with Roma in real life, but I like this formation with the players we've got. I think it suits as well, and hopefully we're going to have a good first season, and that's what's going to happen now. The team is ready for season 1. Let's simulate ahead and see how we can do. And you know what? It is not a bad start at all. Europa League was quite disappointing actually, knocked out in a round of 16 by Celtic. Let's see our journey to get there. We started off in the group stages, where in our group we topped it with 3 teams that you'd expect us to top a group with: Slovan Bratislava, Ludogorets and Lugano. That sent us into the round of 16 and straight away knocked out by Celtic, who I imagine didn't go much further than that. Yeah, they were knocked out by Marseille straight after. That could have been a competition we could have got a little bit further in, I think, maybe at least the semi-finals. Although a final of Liverpool and Bayern was a very strong one for the Europa League, so maybe we never really stood a chance. But I feel like we could have gone a little bit better in that competition. But what I do like is our start in the Serie A. We have finished second, let's be honest, miles and miles away from AC Milan at the top of the division, but 74 points, joint with Inter, better goal difference than them, only losing 6 matches all year, including a heavy 5-0 loss to Lazio away from home. 11 draws is where it really hurt us, maybe not scoring enough goals, but we did win a lot of matches. matches. Although saying that, we do win by a lot of goals when we do win. Scoring 4 goals, 3 goals, and a lot of the wins that being shown there. But yeah, 74 points. That's a Champions League spot and a second place finish. That is going to help us massively in terms of getting off to a good start, and it's far better than what Roma are doing in real life currently. That has led us to having a transfer budget of, drum roll, let's see, 9 million. 9 million is all we've been given, and 250,000 in the wage budget. Not very impressive at all, but if we do move some of that around, maybe sell some players on, we can start to make it work. There you go, 20 million, 60 grand in the wage budget. If we make some sales, we can definitely do something there. Our best performers this year, though, are Tammy Abraham up front with 19 goals. Lukaku's already back at Chelsea. I don't know how. We're using a modded pack, basically, that gives us transfers, and sometimes there can be some issues. He must have gone back to Chelsea early, although saying that, he has played 34 games for us. So he did play the majority of the season here at Roma and was our best player by far with 31 goals and a crazy good average match rating of a 7.6. Let's be honest, we're not going to be able to sign him permanently when he's valued at about 100 million. So it was a great contribution from Lukaku, but that's kind of it for him. Chris Smalling was our second best player, the English contingent of Tammy and Chris doing very well for us. He was really good this year and played the majority of our matches. Renato Sanchez on loan also did quite well. Whether we'll keep him permanently is another question. We've got Lorenzo Pellegrini doing really well in the midfield. He's wanted by Liverpool, and Zalewski, we actually set in the team in as the assistant manager to play him as often as possible to try and develop him, and yeah, he's played really well, developed nicely, 7 assists and 2 goals, playing the majority of our matches, and Evan and Dicker also doing very well at centre-back too. So the players we expected to be key were as good as we expected. Were there any major disappointments? I mean, Hassam Ouar, you might remember him formerly of Lyon, didn't really do too much when he did play, and he barely played at all. Whether this is going to be a signing that we keep around, I don't know. We'll have to look at our team, figure out who we've got in each position, and make some sales. So now we get into the fun bit where we can really get stuck into our transfers, offload a load of players, bring in a load of players. Let's see what we can do in the Season 2 transfer window. Okay, so the transfers are done. Here's the sales. Firstly, we're letting Matteo Ruggeri go back out on loan. He was good at Salernitana last year, played a lot of football. Now he's going to Parma this year. Hopefully, again, we'll continue to develop in that left-back spot. Whilst we've still got Spinazzola and Zalewski, there's no point also having Ruggeri right now. So we're going to loan him out, let him develop, and then he can come back into the first team later in the picture. With this tactic, we don't really utilise wide players too much, and whilst he could potentially play at wing-back, I've decided to let Stefan Al-Shawari go. He was asking to leave because he didn't play much last year. As you can see, 4 appearances off the bench, that was it. Ukraine side Shakhtar Donetsk came in for 3.4 million. He wanted to go, we were happy to sell, so he leaves the club now. I mentioned all of our options at left wing back, and it really didn't leave space for Matthias Viña, who spent last season out on loan at Sassuolo. He's came back, and straight away Rennes were interested. Have we made a mistake in buying him for 11 million, only using him for 1 season and loaning him out? Maybe, but we didn't really need him in the squad. I was happy to take the money, so 3.5 million off to Rennes he goes, and good luck to him there. And I mentioned Hassam Ouar earlier, might potentially leave the club, and he has left to go to Monaco for 3.8 million. Didn't really work out for him in terms of a transfer here to Roma, so we're just going to cut our losses, let him go, and reinvest that in the squad. And we actually didn't go very crazy at all. I haven't spent too much money. There's only 2 incomings, but I've gone for quality over quantity. First of all, Salvatore Esposito is going to take Renato Sanchez's spot in the squad. We needed an extra player in the midfield, so we've gone for the young Italian with plenty of potential. Hopefully he continues to develop here at the club. He's been signed from Spezia for 6 million after a good season out in Serie B. He's been at Inter Milan, then Spal, then Chievo, now Spezia, and then we've bought him in for 6 mil. Hopefully it's going to be a good signing for us. He's great in the defensive element as well as being good as an offensive prospect as well, so I think he's going to be a very nice player for us and fills in that Renato Sanchez spot very nicely. But our big signing of the summer, we needed someone to try and pitch in with the goals that Lukaku had given us at the club. Obviously, we've lost him up front, so we have gone for Gianluca Scamacca. The 24-year-old striker has played for Sassuolo, moved to West Ham, and then to Atalanta, and now we've stepped in to bring him into our team. I see a lot of potential in him as a striker, 24 years of age, and I think he's going to play really nicely alongside Tammy Abraham. A good physical presence, strong, good in the air, 6'5", nice long shots, but also technically very sound as well. I think it's one of the reasons he was kind of misprofiled at West Ham as a big man to hit the ball to. He's actually got a lot of technical ability, and I feel like we're going to try and exploit that here, maybe as the complete forward in our squad, linking up nicely with Tammy up top. He scored goals for Atalanta last year, and I'm hoping it'll work out for us, even though he hasn't scored for Italy yet on 7 appearances. And with him bought in, we didn't really spend too much, like I said, about 26 million I think it was, with about 11 million bought in through sales, and this is now our best 11. We've got Alvaro Fernandez still in goal with Mancini, Smalling and Ndicka as the rest of the team. Zalewski is now our best left wing back, Karsdorp is still here, Pellegrini, Cristante, Dybala, Tammy Abraham and Gianluca Scamacca is coming into that best 11. That does mean that we've still got pretty much the squad that we inherited, but we have got a few players that are starting to come towards the end of their deals. Marash, Kambula, Belotti, Karsdorp, Smalling, Dybala, Paredes. They've got this season and next left on their deals, so we really need to decide if we're keeping them around or moving them on next summer. Spinazzola's only got 1 year left on his deal here and isn't too happy to not be in the team with Zalewski playing so much, so maybe he'll stay, maybe he won't. So I imagine that's when the real transfer overhaul is going to happen. But this team is ready for season 2. Second place finish was good last year. We're in the Champions League. Hopefully we can go quite far, make some money, get that Champions League cash, and then be able to reinvest that in the team. So let's see what we do in season 2. And it is a little bit of a rough year, but there's a few kind of caveats to that. Firstly, the Italian Cup, we finished as runners-up apparently. Let's take a look at that. Very disappointing not to get to the final, that's obviously great, but to lose it on the final stretch to Napoli. A poor performance overall, and one that we'll be trying to put behind us, and hopefully we can deliver that trophy at some point in this rebuild. The Champions League, actually quite impressive. I would have taken the quarterfinals if you'd offered me that. Let's take a look. The group stages, we were in a group with Ajax, Union Berlin, and Shakhtar. Definitely not the hardest group in the world, and we did very well to come out of that with 5 wins and 1 draw. So that would have been a lot of Champions League prize money. Took us into the round of 16 where we knocked out Fenerbahce, a pretty favourable draw to be honest. We then went into the quarters where Chelsea knocked us out 5-1 on aggregate. Clearly the ability level between us and the elite clubs of the world is still a pretty sizable gap. Just to check, was it Lukaku who scored against us? Lukaku did score 1 goal against us there, and a goal in the first leg as well. So 2 goals from Lukaku did us in. But yes, the league is the disappointing one. Is it the points total? No, because actually it's only 2 points less than what we got the other year where we finished second. But AC Milan once again absolutely dominate with 93 points. Inter not too far off on 88, but then Lazio, Napoli, Atalanta all finishing above us. We finished above Juve and still only finished in a 6th place spot. Thankfully that's still a Europa League position, but yeah, quite disappointing. Not where we want to be. A mediocre year, and this is something that Roma fans have been used to. These European spot level finishes but never really competing for that title. We want to change that, and we're going to have to with the right kind of transfers in the upcoming summer, where we do have 26 million to spend, so hopefully we'll be able to spend it well. You will see Spinazzola didn't extend his contract and is going to go to Nice, but let's have a look at who did perform well for us this year. It must be said we were much less reliant on loan signings this summer, which is going to help us in the long term because we own these players who are doing well, like Tammy Abraham who did so well, but Scamacca obviously came in to replace Lukaku this year and did so good for us. 16 goals, 10 assists and a 7.36 average match rate, and Tammy 41 goals in 50 for him. Dybala doing really well. Alvaro Fernandez developing in goal into a very nice goalkeeping option, so fair play to him. Again, we might end up replacing him, but he is still doing really well for us. Esposito in his first year getting a nice bit of football, developing nicely into the midfielder we know that he could be. So even though the league position might not show it, I do feel like this team is on the way up. So we really need to make sure we get our transfers right this summer, and hopefully that allows us to change things around. We've got 26 million, as mentioned. Let's see how we can spend it. Okay, so the season 3 transfers have been made. Before we show you them though, don't worry, the last time I'm going to ask, but if you could take a second just to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, I'd be super thankful. I'd consider you an absolute legend, so if you could do that, please, thank you. Okay, let's get into the transfers. Might I add, by the way, it's completely bonkers that we're even considering getting to 25,000 subscribers on the channel. When I first started doing these videos, it was like, 20 people would watch at most, and I was absolutely buzzing with that. So the fact that we could get, 25,000 people subscribed just hit me for a second then when I said it. But yeah, thank you guys so much for all the support on the channel. Anyway, let's get back to the Roma rebuild, the thing you're here for. Marash Kambula has left the club. The Albanian said, look, boss, I want to leave. I didn't get enough football. Club Brugge came in and we've decided to let him go. I actually really liked him as a centre-back option, but he just wasn't playing very much when we holidayed. I don't know what the assistant manager didn't see in him. I suppose, because he has got a lot of ability. But look, it's not worked out for him here. Wasn't getting played. We don't want unhappy players at the club. The Albanian is going to have a great career, I'm sure. So off he goes to Club Bruges for just under 4 million. Zeki Çelik has left the club. He was our backup right wing back, really, over the last couple of years. He's gone to Sevilla for 2.2 million. Actually played a fair bit for us, but as you can see, 3 starts, 30 sub appearances. Wasn't really playing much at all as a starter. So we took the money for him and we've reinvested it, as we always do, of course. Leandro Paredes, this man was kicking up a fuss every single season. I say every single, both seasons so far, because we never really gave him a huge amount of starts. I mean, first season, 14 starts, and he was complaining quite a lot. Now, he is not a bad player by any stretch. He just didn't really suit us. And in terms of ability, he just wasn't as good as some of the other players at the club in his position. Plus, he's 30 years of age, so I decided, you know what, let's just get rid of him. In came Real Betis, offered a few £1,000,000 for him. We've sold him, and his value is only now at 4 million. So it goes to show he isn't a crazy loss to us. So yeah, a few £1,000,000 in for Paredes, which again, we put back into the team. But the real money we've got to reinvest is an unfortunate transfer that happened this summer, I would say. Lorenzo Pellegrini. Now, he's been at Roma for pretty much all of his career by the looks of it. Actually, all of his career. Then went to Sassuolo just for Roma to buy him back in 2017. Not sure what happened there, but either way, he's played consistently for a few years. And in our 2 seasons, he has been one of our best players. Now, that attracted some interest from other clubs. He's in his prime now at 28, plenty of Italy international caps. And we got a few bids for about 15 million, which I was never going to accept. And I said something like, what was it, 40 mil? 35 mil, there you go. I said, pay us 35 mil instead. And none of these clubs did it, but Inter Milan actually did. At that point, I was like, crap, Inter Milan have actually hit the price that we've asked. And Pellegrini, it said that wouldn't be interested in a transfer, but it went through anyway. They then had the negotiations, and Pellegrini decided he wanted to leave the club. He's gone to Inter. He is valued at about 35 million, so he kind of got the valuation of the player that we sold. It's not like we got done in by the transfer fee. It's just sad to sell a player that's been around the club for so long and kind of not ruins his legacy, I'm sure, but it will definitely taint it in a sense for Roma fans. But 35 million, it is a lot of money. It can potentially rise for 42, and it's money that we're going to reinvest, of course. That's a huge transfer fee. The fans love him, but he has now gone to Inter, who aren't an exact direct rival like, say, Lazio would be for a club like Roma, but still, it is a big loss to us. But we have managed to bring in some good transfers to help the team out. Okay, I'm going to try and move through these quite quickly because we've got a few. First, a free transfer. Mady Camara gives us some extra depth, kind of takes up Paredes' minutes in the squad, which will be very minimal at most, but he is a decent player coming in from Olympiacos. Didn't cost us anything, only 30 grand in the wage budget, and is a 3-star player. He's a squad depth player at most, but to get him for free, I think is a good deal, and he will help the team out, I'm sure. A new centre-back that we've got for an absolute bargain price. How much did we play for the Brazilian by the name of Vital, who's 24 years old with great ability? Well, absolutely nothing. We've picked him up on a free transfer. His contract expired at Shakhtar, where he has been fantastic. He's played a few years out in Brazil too. Vital, 24, as mentioned, great passing ability. He's a great ball player, as mentioned, so he's going to work alongside the other players that we have very nicely. So welcome Vital to the club. Zeki Çelik did leave the club, which left only Ricard Zorp as our right wing back, so we've decided to get a new player in, and that was Serginho Dest, the American 23-year-old who's played for clubs like Ajax, Barcelona, PSV in this world, has now joined us here at Roma. He actually played a fair bit for Barca last year and did quite well. I think we're going to have a number of years now of him as our starting right wing back. Very happy to bring him in, a consistent performer as well. I feel like this one's going to be a good transfer when we look back at it. Still 3 transfers to go though, and one of those is the Italian 23-year-old Caleb Okoli, who joins us from Atalanta for 9.75 million. Played lots of football for them last year. The majority of that as a starter as well. We needed some extra centre-back depth. The reason I bought him in is because I have finished our transfers coming in, but Chris Smalling is actually leaving us by the looks of it. If I can find him, there you go. He is on his way out to go join one of Celtic or PSV, so it's a bit of a sad day to say goodbye to him. But he is 34, he takes up a foreign squad spot, and he's a bit injury prone at this stage now and is declining. You can see here by this emblem, he's starting to get worse, so we needed a new centre-back. Caleb Okoli is going to be that man. Hopefully he'll do well for us. 9 million isn't a small fee, but it's not a huge fee either for a man who loves big matches. He's also a consistent consistent performer as well, and I think he's going to be a great player to have in this team. He's not a ball player, mind you, which might affect things, but I do think he is a good centre-back, and a young Italian, you can't really go wrong of having them in your Roma team. But we kept it going. The Pellegrini money that we did bring in, a fair chunk of it went on the next two players. I saw these as kind of the Pellegrini replacements. Instead of buying one player, we bought two. The first one being Renato Sanchez, who had a good year out on loan with us, then went out on loan to Nice, where he did pretty well. It looks like he only moved there in January. But look, this guy is a talent. He's had a weird career: Swansea, Bayern, Benfica, Lille, PSG, Roma now, and he's back to Roma again. 20 million isn't a huge fee for a player of this ability. Heading into his prime now at 26. Hopefully, he can finally live up to all that potential and find a settled place in our team. And with Pellegrini going and Dybala getting older as the years go by, we've tried to find the next player to kind of fill in that mould of that attacking midfielder, the creative spark in our team, and who better than Thiago Almada, the man that is tearing up the MLS in real life. But look, this guy is a supreme talent, so much ability. We've paid 18 million, a release clause fee, which is a bargain from Atalanta United because he's now valued at about 50 million and he's only going to get better as the years go by. So that was our transfer business done, and it now leaves our team looking like this. You will see the roles have slightly switched in our midfield. We've gone from Azala to get a little bit more attacking, a little bit more goal threat, and also suit the players that we have a little bit better. And this is our best 11. So it's Alvaro Fernandez in goal, Mancini, Ndicka, and Buongiorno, who we signed for only a small fee of, what was it, like £6 million? Yeah, and he's just been ticking along nicely, getting better and better. He's only got pros in his coach report now. He's a nice physical presence, great ability all round, and actually he's been a really shrewd signing. So if you need a centre-back in your save, make sure you check him out. But yes, a very good talent. He is at back. Dest, Zalewski, Esposito's continued to develop in the midfield alongside Renato Sanchez, Dybala, Abraham and Scamacca. The team is ready for season 3. Let's see how they can do. Hopefully we can put up a title challenge this year, get back into the Champions League and start to compete on that front. Okay, right, this is absolutely bonkers. What I'm about to guide you through is a crazy turnout of results. Firstly, we're going to start with the Italian Cup. So I'll show you that now. We didn't win that. We got knocked out in the semi-final. AC Milan won it. We got knocked out by them in a penalty shootout. That was unfortunate, but we did well in other competitions, so we're going to kind of forget about that. One of those competitions was the Europa League that we were kind of upset that we were in. Let's be honest, we were never going to win the Champions League yet, but the Europa League, we had a pretty good chance, and we have delivered the trophy, our first bit of silverware in this rebuild, beating Lille 5-3 in the final. Not the hardest match ever. Knocked out Man U 4-1 though to get to that final. Also taking out Sociedad on the way, as well as Hajduk Split. So an absolute fantastic result there. We'll have a look at that game in a minute. I'll play it back so you can see the goals and whatnot, because it does look like it was a very good final, that 5-3 result. But the reason that I haven't shown you the full screen picture of things yet is because you might see we're on the 2nd of June. Now, usually I hold it up to the 31st of May and then we see the results and it's, wow, you know, how cool, there's the results. But we actually had one game still left to play when I had done that simulation, which I found quite strange. And the reason for it is we had a playoff match to win the Italian First Division. Now, you might think, what the hell do you mean? We beat Atalanta 2-0 to win the league title, and the reason we had to play that playoff match was because we finished on the same goal difference and the same points, and I don't know if it goes to head-to-head or goal difference in this division, but if you have a look at our head-to-head record, we lose 1-0 to Atalanta away from home, and then on the final day of the season, Rick Karsdorp scores in the 89th minute to make it 1-0 to Roma. So if you're keeping count, if it does go to head-to-head, which I'm not sure, or goal difference, either way, it was completely level, and that meant we had to go to a playoff match where we faced off against Atalanta. There was 2 sending offs, Renato Sanchez in the 43rd, Edison in the 56th for Atalanta, then Dybala scores in the 84th minute, and Vitao in the 90th. I've never seen anything like that. I don't know whether a playoff is a regular occurrence in the Italian divisions, but that's what happened. We've done it. And just seeing the Europa League as well, we lost 3-0 against Sociedad, only to turn it around 4-0 in the home leg with a crazy result there. But let's have a look at this Europa League final where Almada scores once, Dybala scores 3 times, Cristante gets sent off, and Abraham scores as well. That was all in normal time, this 5-3 result. But yes, crazy turnout. I can't believe that. I've never seen anything like it in a rebuild. Absolutely insane. How has that happened? A joint finish Oh, mad. Anyway, here's Jonathan David scoring a penalty in the 13th minute against us, 1-0 to Lille. Evan Ndicka builds out the back, finds Tammy Abraham in the 16th minute. Cristante threads through Thiago Almada, who goes through, rounds the goalkeeper and tucks it away comfortably. It's his first season here, and he's already scored in a European final. Then, in the 30th minute, Ndicka forward to Almada. Almada with an incisive pass through to Dybala, who looks like he started up front today alongside Abraham. I say today, in the final. This was a few days ago in the Football Manager world. Dybala tucks it in to make it 2-1. Here's Dest, who looks like he's playing at left wing back for this game. Obviously, a very versatile wing back who can play both sides. Abraham over to Dybala for a fantastic goal. A volley of the highest quality. That is 3-1 to Roma at this point in the 40th minute. Are we going to make it 4-1? Here's Dybala again, playing it through to Tammy Abraham. Tammy Abraham plays it across the box. I thought he was going to, but he actually decided to score on his own. Anyway, we're 4-1 up at this point, and Lille decide the comeback is on with this man, whoever it is, getting the ball, Andre, and he tucks it away after a few deflections, comes off of a few players there, and Alvaro Fernandez can't do anything in the end. That makes it 4-2. Vitalvo goes forward, steals the ball, finds Almada, Cristante to Dybala for the hat-trick, and he tucks it away. I say nicely, the goalkeeper probably should have had that. Anyway, at that point it is 5-2, isn't it? We get a red card, and then Lille start growing into it. They get one more goal. Andre to Unas, to this man, whoever it is, I can't pronounce his name, finds Andre again, who scores the second. Well done, Andre. I mean, fair play to him. Scores 2 in that game there. An insane season, guys. Europa League and the Serie A delivered to Roma, and we still got 2 years left of this rebuild, so this is going to be a very successful one if we can keep this up, but we do really need to try and keep it up because we've only got 13 million. Things aren't getting any better in the financial department. We're 16 million pounds in debt, and in terms of the overall debts and loans, it hasn't really gone down, but we've started to develop a great team. So let's see what we can do with this small transfer budget, mind you, but hopefully enough to turn this team into consistent Serie A winners now. Right, let's do this. Let's move through it quick. Andrea Belotti leaves the club for only a few million to go to Hertha Berlin. 4.3 mil, never really hit the ground running for us here at Roma. A good servant, but he's out the door. A nice bit of business from us. Bought in Mady Camara for a free the other season. Played 21 games, 20 of them off the bench. Income FC Köln for a £6 million fee. We make 6 million profit. Money to spend for a player that we didn't really use too much anyway. A slightly weird transfer though. Calabacoli has left the club to go join Almeria. Now, he was upset he didn't get much game time last year, which is maybe to be expected. We buy him for 9 million and then he only starts 1 game all season, 11 off the bench. Almeria come in and offer us more money than what we originally paid for him, going up to potentially 14 million. And you know what? I thought we're making a profit on a player that never really played. Clearly didn't work out for us, so we take that money and we run away with it. He's valued at 35 million, so maybe we've been shafted a little bit there, but you know what? It didn't work out. He's out the door. We make a little bit of cash. Let's not complain. Let's just forget about it and move on. You can't get every transfer right. But you can definitely come out as the winners overall because we sold Calabacoli for about 10 million and then for a few £1 less, only 5 million, we signed Leonidas Sturgeon, the Swiss international coming in from FC St. Gallen, a good player with good ball playing ability who suits us a little better in terms of our tactical setup and also isn't going to expect much game time. He is happy to be a squad rotation player, so I think he'll work out perfectly, and he cost us far less than what we made from Acoli from his sale. I forgot to mention it, but the man that scored against Atalanta to give us that playoff match, Rick Karsdorp, has left to go join Leverkusen at the end of his contract. And his replacement, a very cheap and effective option in my opinion, is Costinha, a 25-year-old Portuguese national coming in from Rio Ave, where he's been very good in the top division over there. Comes in as our second best wingback, I would say, behind Serginho Dest. And yeah, happy to have him. A cheap guy who's just going to fill up the squad numbers and play when we need him. Speaking of filling up the squad numbers, Mady Camara left. We needed a midfield option who can also maybe fill in as that number 10 and also a striking option as well with Belotti going. So we've got Zion Fleming, a Dutch national, not a very great player, but he comes in for free from Millwall where he's been exceptional in the Championship. Clearly too good for that level, so he joins us. Will he play much? I don't know, but again, he's here on a free, he works out and he fills up the numbers a little bit. If anyone gets injured, we've got some backup and he's not expecting to be a regular starter. Someone that is expecting to be a regular starter though, as you can see here, is Michel Ange Balikwisha. Might have pronounced that wrong, but he's joining us from Antwerp out in Belgium where he's been scoring goals at a pretty high level, can play as a 10, a striker or on the left. But for us, really is going to take up Belotti's minutes, I think, as that third option up front behind Skamaka, and for free, you can't really complain. We're staying really respectable in the transfer transfer market though, 25 million made in sales, only 29 million spent, the majority of it on this man, Xavi Simons. What an absolute bargain. We got an A rating for this transfer from the board, which never happens because it's such good value for money, they think. 20 million, we signed Renato Sanchez from PSG before, now we spent 20 million, a similar fee actually, on Xavi Simons, who's valued at 50 million at this point, 22 years of age, still not a Dutch international just yet, but he's got great ability. As a Mazzala in our team, he'll be fantastic. He can play as at number 10 as well, a consistent performer who enjoys big games. In real life, you know, we'd never get him for this kind of fee. He is now one of the most elite talents in world football in his age range, but yeah, what a signing. Xavi Simons is in our team, and that now leaves our best 11 looking very, very good. Mancini, Alvaro Fernandez, who's been developing really nicely, by the way, now getting into the prime years of the goalkeeper and ranked as a 3.5-star player. I mean, I never really expected him to do so well, but he has continued to be exceptionally good in the net for us. A brilliant signing at 4.5 million. Dest and Zalewski are our wing-backs with Esposito. Another great frugal signing with Renato Sanchez, Almada, Abraham and Scamacca. It's the first time we're seeing Dybala not in the best 11 anymore. He is declining, and it looks like this is going to be his last year at the club with 1 year left on his contract. I'm not sure we're going to extend, but yes, what a great team we've built here. Let's see how they can get on in our penultimate season, Season 4. I genuinely can't believe this. You guys are not going to... I mean, you've just got to see it. I don't understand how this is happening. Firstly, Italian Super Cup, runner-up, losing to AC Milan in the final is what it is. Let's forget about that one. Italian Cup, we have finally delivered it. After a few close calls, we've made it to the final, beating Inter Milan 2-1. More on that later, we'll have a look at the goal scorers. But yes, we have won the Italian Cup. So now we've got that, a Serie A title, and a Europa League. UEFA Super Cup, we played PSG, who won the Champions League, and they battered us 4-0. And then the Champions League, we actually did make it out of the league phase, doing okay, finishing 13th. That put us in a knockout playoff round, where we took out Trabzonspor, as you would probably expect. Then the round of 16, again, got put up against PSG. Unfortunate, they beat us 3-0. They're a better side than us at this point, so we have lost there. So that's all the other competitions, but you might wonder why I was so, taken aback again when I first introduced this season's results. And just look at this. Another playoff match to win the Serie A. And who is it against? Bloody Atalanta, who just seem to have our number at this point. 83 points once more, which seems crazy to me. I'm pretty sure that's the points total that we finished on last year. I could be wrong, but if it is, insane result. Now, goal difference clearly does not matter because we did have a higher goal difference than them, so it must just go down to head-to-head record. Again, I could check all this by checking out the rules page, but we've kind of figured it out ourselves here. Once more, it's late on in the season where we do beat Atalanta, beating them 1-0 with a penalty from Thiago Almada. The game before that, though, was a 1-1 draw at their ground, so maybe it doesn't go down to goal difference, maybe it doesn't go down to head-to-head record at all. Maybe if you just finish on the same points total, you have to have a playoff match because we actually won more games than them. So maybe this is just a thing in Italy and I've just never heard of it before, because I find that absolutely bonkers to think that just because you finish on the same points, you have to play a match against each other. But yeah, we did, and we blow them out the water. Atalanta lost 3-0. If goal difference and head-to-head record don't matter, then maybe it isn't that crazy after all. But yes, we did beat them 3-0. Scamacca, Vital and Abraham getting the goals there. It was Abraham and Esposito in the 95th minute, scoring against Inter Milan, a team where he originally came from. Brilliant from him to win us that Italian Cup. But yeah, a great year for us. Our biggest budget yet as well, £50 million or so to spend with a decent amount of wage budget. So let's see what we can do in our final season. A quick sale, Zion Fleming, we mentioned we bought him in for free. He didn't really play much last year, and much like Mady Kamara the year before, we sell him on for a cheeky profit to Shakhtar, 4.7 million in the bank. And Miles Sivalar, our backup goalkeeper over the last few years, has left to join Salernitana. He was one where he started to want some game time now to get into the national team, so we've let him go for a few million. We've bought in some competition for our goalkeeper Alvaro Fernandez, signing Marco Canasecchi here, a very good goalkeeper, for only 5.75 million from Bologna, and actually is considered a better goalkeeper right now than Alvaro Fernandez, so that would be some good competition in the net between them two. The big signing of the summer though cost us absolutely nothing. Bruno Guimaraes here of Newcastle, his contract expired after a few years at the club and we have picked him up on a free contract. We had a lot of competition from some of the world's best sides, but this man who's an elite passer, an elite dribbler with great first touch and creative ability is going to be a phenomenal talent, I'm sure. Valued at 80 million, we got him for free, guys. A stacked midfield now, by the way, with him, Sanchez, Xavi Simons, Esposito. What great talents we've got. And Matteo Vitti was our big signing of the summer, 29 million. Mancini was getting older, so we needed a new player, so we've signed him, 24 years of age, Italian national, coming in from the French divisions. Formerly of Empoli and Sassuolo, the 24-year-old Italian is left-footed with great passing ability and nice defensive ability too. 6'3", a great player to have in the team. And our best 11 to finish off with for our final season is Konechny in goal, so bye-bye Alvaro Fernandez in that best 11. Mancini, Ndicka, Vitti, Dest, Zalewski, Guimaraes, Esposito, Almada, Abraham and Scamacca. With the likes of Vital, Renato Sanchez, Balikwisha, Xavi Simons, Buongiorno, Cristante still on the bench as well. Ruggeri, who we signed early on, has developed into a good backup left wing back. He is our player there over the last few years and has been playing quite a lot of football and getting quite good. So yeah, I think we made some great signings in this rebuild. But the team is ready, a great side ready to go for our final year. Let's see how we get on in our last season. And I really do think this is going to go down as our greatest rebuild, maybe the most dramatic rebuild in the history of rebuilds. Not only have we had a Europa League win, a cup win, plenty of final losses and semi-final losses. We had 2 playoff wins in the Serie A. We can now add some trophies to that, guys. The Italian Super Cup, we have now won all the domestic trophies in this rebuild, beating Inter Milan 1-0. The Italian Cup, we deliver once more, beating Inter Milan 1-1 in a penalty shootout. So great for us. 2 years on the bounce, 2 Italian Cups. We are going down as a Roma legend. Now the league title, we actually give it up this year to Juventus, who haven't been great for a number of seasons, but decide to come out of nowhere and win the title. Now, we got 84 points. They did well to get 88. AC Milan, when they were winning it in the first couple of seasons, were hitting 90-odd points. Now they're finishing in 11th place with 54. So I have no idea what's going on. Atalanta have been joint first with us for the last 2 years. They finished 9th. We finish on 84. Juventus, fair play to them, take the trophy with 88 points. We lose 6. They lose 4. We have a better goal difference. But you might think, why have we lost the title this year? You know, why have Juve won more games than us? Well, we were playing a lot of games in another competition because, guys, this is crazy to even say, we've won the bloody Champions League. This is a competition we were getting battered in by PSG only last season. We've made it to the final. We beat Liverpool in the penalty shootout. Let's check out how we got there. Firstly, hardly making it through the playoff matches. Winning 3, losing 3, drawing 2, going into a playoff knockout round against Arsenal of all clubs, beating them 3-2. Great result. We knock out one of the better English sides in this world into the round of 16. Coming up against an English side, Chelsea, 3-2. Okay, right into the quarter-final. We come up against the giants of Germany, FC Bayern Munich. We beat them 3-1 on aggregate, with Liverpool going through, smashing Fiorentina, Juventus being knocked out by Real Madrid. Great for the Italian sides, by the way. 3 of them in the quarter-final. So you've got Real, Liverpool, Roma, and Man U. We go into the semi-final. We face off against Manchester United, another English side. Bear in mind at this point, Chelsea, Arsenal have fell to us, and we beat them 4-2 on aggregate. And all of those goals, by the way, come at Old Trafford. The first leg must have been 0-0. We go to Old Trafford, we win 4-2. We then get in a final against another English side, Liverpool, and we beat them in a penalty shootout. And that's all whilst trying to win the league and the Italian Cup as well. Insane results. And actually, if we hadn't drawn to Juve here, would we have won the title? No, I don't think so. Maybe my maths is wrong there. Still don't think we would have won it, but we did actually draw to them near the end of the season. But this final against Liverpool, it was Scamacca and Diaz with the goals. And then Liverpool only scored 1 penalty in the whole shootout. Mohamed Salah, we then score the rest. So fair play to us there. Legendary match at Old Trafford as well. Scamacca, Almada and Tammy Abraham getting both goals. Actually, it wasn't at Old Trafford, was it? It was actually at our home stadium here in Roma, the Stadio Olimpico. But I don't understand that. We should never win a Champions League, let's be honest, with the team we've had. We've created such a unit that they've managed to do it. And our facilities have got better. We've started improving them over time, bringing in some great young players now, like this man, Ramon Pezzini. We've been given £58 million to spend if we were to continue, £52 million in the budget, and we have knocked out quite a lot of that original debt that we did have. So awesome there. And yeah, what a great season it was from some of our players. Scamacca, Abraham, Balikwisha, of all people, getting 23 goals and only 22 starts. What a signing he's been on a free deal, the Belgium international. Vital doing great as well. Almada having a great season. Look, I don't know. Do you really think this best 11 is good enough to win a Champions League? Was it Come and think of it, it was actually after we changed our formation to have that Mezzala, even though the Mezzalas haven't really been doing crazy amounts with only 4 goals from Simmons, Renato Sanchez only 2 goals, last year they got 0. But since we switched to that in season 3, we delivered the title in one season, the title in the next, and the Champions League in the season after. Look, maybe I'm some kind of genius, maybe we've just built a great team, maybe we've got completely lucky. Either way though, whatever's happened, Roma, Capitoline, whatever you want to call them, we have rebuilt them, and I think this might be my favourite rebuild that we've ever done. What a dramatic rebuild. I've loved it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. It will be FM24 soon, so let us know in the comments what rebuild you want to see next. That was a really long one that I've had to record here. It took way longer than normal, but hopefully you have enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.